Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on a pretty wet and gloomy Friday out there, but we're 1 day away from the Premier League returning. 2 days from Arsenal, but 1 day away from the Premier League returning and getting that international break behind us. Like I said on my video yesterday, I'm joining you today to discuss Mikel Arteta's press conference, which has just finished, and he certainly had a few interesting things to say. It's not exactly been the most quiet international breaks for Arsenal, given a few things that have been going on at the club, and given what emerged yesterday with a report from David Ornstein in The Athletic that Willian and David Luiz had a little bit of a training ground scrap, with Luiz punching Ceballos after a tackle and leaving Ceballos with a bit of a scratch and a bloody nose. Mikel Arteta obviously was asked about that in the press conference, and I will get to what he had to say on that. But I will start first of all with Thomas Partey. The news emerging today that Thomas Partey hasn't made it back to full fitness ahead of the game against Leeds. He will miss Sunday's trip to Ellen Road, which is a big blow to Arsenal, especially with the news that Mohamed Elneny obviously is going to miss the game as well because of his positive coronavirus test. Partey, as I've said on previous videos, was fairly positive that he might be able to make it back for this one, but he's just missed out, hasn't made it. And Mikel Arteta was asked about that during the game today, during the press conference today, and admitted that he was going to miss a game. And he said he picked up an injury very early against Aston Villa. He tried to carry on and wanted to play the second half, and we knew it was a significant injury. He has done really well. He is working very hard, and he wants to be available. Hopefully we can get him back soon. It's an area where we have to be careful and a bit protective about the player. Now, that's very understandable. The last thing you want after just spending 45 million to bring Thomas Partey in is to push him, even if he says he is fit and available, is to push him and aggravate the injury, and suddenly you're without him for 2 or 3 months. So Arsenal, very understandable. They want to be careful with Partey. The last thing they want to do is put him out for the long term. So they will monitor him. They will ensure he's fully recovered before he wants to play. As I've said previously, I know that he himself believes that he's fairly close to being able to play, and was really hopeful of making the clash on Sunday. That's not the case, and Arsenal will certainly be without Partey now for Sunday's game. And you would imagine they're probably not going to risk him next Thursday either. If there's even any doubt, rather than flying him out to Austria and playing in the Europa League, you'd imagine they'll probably give him the night off there as well, and sort of focus maybe on next weekend's match in the Premier League rather than the Europa League. So no Thomas Partey on Sunday. Right, let's talk about David Luiz and Dani Ceballos. Look, these things, they always make really good stories in terms of, good headlines when two players have a fight on the training ground. It happens loads, and it's just when it does emerge, when it leaks out, then it always makes for a good story. But let's face it, those of you who have played football, and I'm sure those of you have, it happens no matter what level you're playing at. One little bad tackle in training, even if you're best mates, it ends up in a bit of a push and a shove and a couple of punches perhaps being thrown. That seems to be what happened at Arsenal last Friday at the training ground. David Luiz taking exception to a tackle made by Dani Ceballos. Bit of a flare-up between the two, and yeah, had stayed secret or not come out until yesterday when David Ornstein revealed it on The Athletic, and Dani Ceballos came out immediately after on social media and labelled the story as fake, quote tweeted it with the word fake, but probably should have spoken with Mikel Arteta about what Arteta was going to say at the press conference before he'd done that, because Arteta has made him look a little bit silly now by kind of speaking about the incident. Although he said, look, nothing happened. He played it down, said nothing happened. Training is very competitive and issues happen a lot of the time, but these things get resolved immediately within the team. There's not much to say. He says there's no problem at all between the players. And when he was asked if he actually saw it, he joked. He said, I've got really bad vision from far away. A little bit of an Arsene Wenger line there. So look, it's not a big deal. And from what we understand, the pair are now fine. It was just something that happens on the training ground. But I still think it's a little bit silly from Dani Ceballos to come out on Twitter yesterday and label it as fake, because there clearly was an incident, and it looks a little bit stupid now, I have to say, that he's done that. Second time Dani Ceballos has been involved in a little bit of a flare-up of his teammates. Obviously, you saw it at Fulham on the opening day of the season with Eddie and Nketiah. Again, that one was sort of played down. They were kissed and made up pretty quickly. Picture came out on social media after the game of those two together. But yes, the fact that it's happened twice with Ceballos now, obviously not quite gone to plan for him this season, Danny. I think he came back from came back for a second season on loan. Thought he was obviously going to be a very, very key player, as he was towards the end of last season. But the arrival of Partey, the form of El Neni, suddenly found himself on the bench and not playing too many times, certainly in the Premier League. Perhaps frustration spilling over a little bit with Dani Ceballos. But anyway, apparently they're all kissed and made up and everything is all well and good on the Arsenal camp once again. A couple other things I wanted to just touch on from today's press conference. Mikel Arteta was asked about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang during the international break. Obviously, we all saw what happened when he was away with Gabon in their game with Gambia, when the Gabon team was left on the floor of the airport basically for the entire night. And while waiting to be let into Gambia for their Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Clearly not ideal. Arsenal wouldn't have been too happy to see their star striker spending the night without sleep and lying on the floor of an airport with his head rested up against his bag. There had been reports that Arteta may refuse to let Aubameyang travel with Gabon again after that incident, but he has denied that, said it's not the case. But he does say it was obviously a shock to see a full squad sleeping the way they were doing. I always believe that everybody's trying to do their best, and the Gabon national team are trying to organise things the best possible way. Sometimes unpredictable things happen, and it was an experience. I said to Orba, take it as an experience. I'm sure for many months or years you haven't slept on the floor. Take it from there and just make sure when you're in bed you know how good it is, how comfortable it is, and how lucky you are. Certainly is a lucky man. You cannot change it, you cannot rewind it, so take it the way and move on. I hope the next time it doesn't happen that our players have the rest that they need. So look, clearly not ideal situation for Mikel Arteta and for Arsenal to see Aubameyang have to spend the night like that, but it has happened, it's dealt with. Touch wood, well, there hasn't been any problem with it in terms of injury or anything like that. He seems like he's come back, he's in good shape, he will be involved at the weekend, so it's just a case of putting that one to bed and hoping it doesn't happen again, which I'm sure we all do hope. Couple of last things before I go on to team news and my predicted 11 for Sunday's game. Just a little bit on Willian. I'm sure you've all seen that he went away during the international break in a sort of unsanctioned trip to Dubai, despite the fact that current government rules here prevent travel, overseas travel, unless it's for business reasons because of the whole coronavirus pandemic. Now, it seems like Willian's explanation for his trip to Dubai, which only emerged because a picture of him and old Salt Bay turned up on social media at the restaurant. His explanation was that he had business interests, he needed to sort it out. It was sort of linked to image rights, demands that he had to see through in Asia. Now, Mikel Arteta has admitted that he had a conversation with Willian once he arrived. He needed to provide a positive coronavirus test before he was allowed back into training. He did that. He trained yesterday, and Arteta has spoken to Willian about the situation now. He said, we had a conversation and I explained what I expected. There are a lot of personal factors at the moment as well from our side. We need to be in their shoes. A lot of players have different issues, like any player out there. Sometimes make decisions based on the needs of the moment or what people are expecting from them, whether they are right or wrong. It's a thing that we have to discuss, but it's been dealt with in the right way, so let's move on. So Arteta says the situation has been dealt with and it moved on, but you kind of got the impression, I have to say, from speaking to him, that he wasn't entirely impressed with what Willian certainly what he did during the international break, even if he has now sort of explained his actions and he is back training with the group. He was asked if the whole thing was going to mean that he wouldn't be involved on Sunday in Ellen Road, and he didn't really sort of give an answer to that. Mikel Arteta, he just again sort of said, look, the situation's resolved, it is what it is, but didn't give a definitive answer on whether the whole situation would affect Willian's chances of being involved at Ellen Road this weekend. He also spoke a little bit about Pablo Mari, forgotten man Pablo Mari. It's almost been a year since he signed for Arsenal. You think he's only played 3 games, had real injury nightmares since he arrived. But he is back training yesterday. We saw the pictures yesterday, and Mikel Arteta says he's looking really good in training. Obviously, he had difficult surgery. He had a screw, and sometimes when you have an external body inside, it can react in an unexpected way, and it was causing some inflammation and irritation in the joint all the time, and his ankle was swelling, so he had to take that out again, which was a little bit of a setback. But he's working really hard, and he looks really good in training. So Pablo Mari not far away now from being involved, for Arsenal. Perhaps even on Thursday night in the Europa League, we might see Mari for the first time this season. Almost like I said, he's almost like a forgotten man, Pablo Mari. Kind of forget, Arsenal invested fairly heavily in him to bring him in. He was a bit of an unknown quantity when he arrived, still is an unknown quantity now. We kind of, you kind of, just because Gabriel's come in, who's obviously plays in the same position, left-sided centre-back, you think, Mari, we're not going to see much of him, but you never know. He could end up being a really important player for Arsenal. We just don't know because we haven't seen enough of him. So it's certainly a boost for Mikel Arteta to have Pablo Mari back. He absolutely said he's still part of the first team plans when the question was asked of him. So I think we're going to be seeing a fair bit of Pablo Mari, and it'll be interesting to see exactly how well he performs. Right, team news time. I've already spoken about Thomas Partey. We know he's not involved. We know Mohamed El Neni is not involved because of coronavirus. He is due back in London today. He's flying back in with Mohamed Salah on a private plane. But given COVID protocols, he's not going to be involved at the weekend. Same with Sead Kolasinac. He's still not involved after his positive test while away with Bosnia. Reece Nelson looks like he should be fit. He's been training after missing the games before the international break. We've spoken about Pablo Mari. I can't imagine Mari's going to be involved yet, despite coming back to full training. And Gabriel Martinelli is back doing group sessions with the squad. We saw it yesterday. He's not fully involved in full contact training yet, but he's very, very close. That could only be a couple of weeks away now. So Gabriel Martinelli closing in on an Arsenal return, which will be really interesting to see how Gabby does once he is back and what sort of game time he gets under Mikel Arteta and where exactly he's going to play. Will it be on the left? Will it be as a striker? Time will tell. Predicted 11. Now, it's always hard to predict this, and I think the injuries have certainly changed my thinking on what we were perhaps going to see at Ellen Road. I thought it's certain if Thomas Partey was fit, we might see Arsenal going more of a flat back four. Mikel Arteta changing things up a little bit. He has said now, Arteta, in an interview recently, that there is the temptation after a defeat like against Aston Villa to shake things up all at once and make drastic changes. He says he's going to resist that urge, and he has to still believe in what he's thinking, believe in the sort of vision he's set out since he arrived at Arsenal. So perhaps not going to see massive changes, but I do think we will see some changes from that team against Aston Villa. I think Nicolas Pepe will start. I don't think Willian will. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Eddie Nketiah start as a central striker. I'm not sure yet. I would like to see Aubameyang play as a central striker, but I wouldn't be surprised if once again we see Aubameyang lining up on the left, perhaps with Eddie Nketiah as a central striker. So I'm going to go with a 3-4-3 system. Leno obviously in goal. I'm going to go with a back three of Rob Holding, Gabriel and Kieran Tierney. I'm going to go with Hector obviously at right wing back, Bukayo Saka at left wing back, a midfield two of Dani Ceballos and Granit Xhaka, the midfield pairing that played such a key role in Arsenal winning the FA Cup last season. And then up front, I'm going to have Pepe on the right, Aubameyang on the left, and Eddie Nketiah as the central striker. Remember, that's just a predicted 11. That's not on any info I've got from Arsenal or anything like that. I'm not saying that is the team it's going to be. It's just my predicted 11 from what I think we might see when Arsenal line up at Ellen Road on Sunday. Right, everyone, that is about it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I appreciate all your support on this channel, your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. And if you are new to this and you're still watching now after 13 minutes, then please do hit the subscribe button. And like I said, I will try and keep you updated with all the Arsenal news as it breaks throughout the week. Thank you, everyone. I will be at Ellen Road on Sunday. I will join you from there to discuss what hopefully will be an Arsenal victory. Until then, have a great weekend.